We want to talk with you about the books that feed your imagination and the vices that spark your soul.
We drink, we curse, we read things. Come sit by us. Expect no judgment, just good times.
Welcome to Paper and Vices. Books reviewed, vices indulged.
Mature content warning.
I am Victoria Papers.
And I am Lee Vices.
And I don't know about y'all, but Jesus Christ, I am tired of every next year being like, you think that was bad, hold my beer. Can we stop?
That would be nice.
Like, just tone it down. I am done living in interesting times. This would be boring.
Yeah. I saw a meme the other day that was like, was the millennials after living through their, like, I don't know, 17th, like, history-making world event, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I saw one that said, I am really tired of living in what will be the majority of next century's history textbook.
It's pretty accurate.
There's going to be like 2 blurbs about the 90s, and half of it is going to be Friends and Seinfeld. And then it's going to be like, and then shit went south.
Yeah, which is sad because the 90s was honestly such a really good cultural decade. So.
It was such a good cultural decade. The early the aughts, I guess is what we're calling them, weren't even that bad. They were, no. I mean, okay, the eyeshadow and the thin eyebrows really didn't do anybody favors.
Nope.
But we had peak pop in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We had some really good country and hip hop and rap. All the music was good. Twitter wasn't a thing yet, or it was a very in its infancy thing. Smartphones weren't a thing until 2006 or 7. Like there was a time when you just had to know the trivia at the bar.
Yeah.
You just had to know. You just had to know.
We were smarter then.
We thought for so long the problem was lack of access to information. Turns out, definitely not the problem. You know, you could walk to the library and no one got anxious that you didn't have your phone, and you didn't get anxious that you didn't have your phone. Because why the fuck would you have a phone? Go look shit up in the card catalog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it definitely feels like even just walking downstairs to the kitchen, I'm like, oh, Jesus, where is it? Where's my leash?
Right? Yeah. I didn't have an email address until 2001. So, like, for all of the 90s, I didn't have an email address. Let's just remember the innocent times when we didn't have email addresses, guys. Just a moment of silence for our innocent selves. Okay.
Oh, man.
So how are you now that I've totally been a downer?
No, you're good. So I have, my husband and I have fitness goals for this year. And we've had fitness goals for years. It's just it's always taken the shape of like kind of how people, like we've talked about resolutions before on the show and how like in a lot of ways they're a joke because people, you know, we say we're going to do the things and then we don't always do the things. So this is how it's been for like a long time. And then insert global pandemic and small child and move and just all the things. So we're just like, all right, whatever the fuck happens, we are going to, you know, take steps to. So I had my vein surgery and blah, blah, blah. I go to this boot camp, which totally fucking kicked my ass. And it was amazing.
It's not about boots.
It's not. I got my ass kicked in this class. And before I went, I was like, oh, something's up with like the top of my foot. I'm just gonna, you know, wear tennis shoes and it's fine. And it was fine. But I don't know what I did to my foot. But the top of my foot is now, like, I'm limping. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, just what I was. So, anyway, it's slow going.
You have lived past 29. Achievement unlocked.
Stupid fucking achievement. Sorry. Take it back.
Yeah.
So I will achieve my fitness goals. Just maybe it'll take a little longer than I want it to. Please. I apparently have to wait for my foot to heal after one workout. So
please don't develop a disability in the course of your fitness goals.
Right?
What are you drinking? I'm not drinking alcohol. That may be the problem.
It might be. Actually, I had a glass of wine with dinner, and then I had like Chinese. Like we made it at home, but for some reason it like was really heavy, and it made me. You know how sometimes Chinese food like you hit that brick wall of holy fuck, I want to take like a 20-hour nap.
Yes.
So I hit that about 45 minutes before I hopped on here. So I was like coffee stat. So
Fuck yeah, carbohydrates.
yeah. So I'm drinking a very perfectly balanced like cream, like oat milk, creamy cup of coffee with and I sweeten my coffee with honey, which I know a lot of people think is weird, but anyway.
No,
So,
coffee with honey is really good. Like if you make pumpkin spice lattes at home, here's the deal. Half oat milk, half cow milk, or all oat milk.
mm-hmm.
Do not use sugar. Use honey.
Mm-hmm.
Totally changes the way it tastes. It's glorious.
It's got to do something with the way it breaks down and like dissolves into the hot.
It almost tastes caramelized by the time, because I microwave it is what I do. But if you put it in really hot coffee, it's kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Honey and coffee is delicious. If you haven't tried it, you should definitely try it. It is wonderful. Especially if you want to go real bougie and just put like a touch of cinnamon or nutmeg on top. That is a love yourself moment.
Yes.
And technically, cinnamon and nutmeg are good for you. And if you're having a bad day and you snort half a container of nutmeg, you'll hallucinate. So like, however far you need to take that for your self-care, we're not judging. My God, I was listening to this podcast today, and one of the hosts was talking about how her life peaked probably in 2019 when she went to Disneyland in California on mushrooms and had a great time. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, sign me up. I want to do that. That sounds amazing. Like, if you are going to do, not like weed, like, I'm a woman in my 30s with a child. Anything hemp, CBD, or THC based is like medicinal. Okay? Like, my whole body hurts. and I have way too much information in my brain to not be anxious. It's medicinal. But like, if you're really like, if you want to have a good trip, like going to Disney and fucking riding the teacups with sparkly ears on sounds like a goddamn good time.
This is sounding like plans for our next get together in person.
Are we drunk? Bitch, we're not drunk.
But we're hallucinating. It's all good.
I hallucinated and there were these characters with really big heads that gave me hugs and I was just so happy. And then I got cake. It was wonderful. Like, yeah, let's do that. Valkyrie, I know you're listening. Let us know if you're in. But yeah, I was just sitting there in Carline listening to her say, I think this was the peak of my life. And I was like, I would like to ascend that mountain to reach that peak.
So you said you're not drinking alcohol and you're not.
Nope.
And
I'm not doing shrooms or THC. Right. My drug of choice today is a lovely like dark teal and light teal anxiety medication and a decaf all cow's milk latte.
Mm-hmm.
What are you reading?
I am still picking out through Addie LaRue, but I also I share an Audible account with my dad, and he has been talking to me about this. It's called The Last Druid series by Kevin Hearn.
I've heard of this, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, and he's kept talking about it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. And nice. I love it. It's so good. It's got your good dose of, good bit of magic in there, and it's set up nicely, and there's parts that are really humorous, and yeah, like I just started. I'm actually where am I at? Chapter 7, so I'm not quite halfway, but
so it's good and proper high fantasy.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's really nice. It's refreshing to, because I was thinking about this while I was listening to this. I'm like, And this wasn't intentional on my part, but I've noticed that a lot of the books that I pick up are written by women and have women protagonists. And it's really refreshing just to have like a male protagonist and it's a male narrator.
We should give the boys a chance sometimes.
We should. So, but anyway, so yeah. What are you reading?
Really cool.
Yeah.
I am reading 2 books I don't like. I'm listening to one and I'm reading the other, and they're both just shit. We will have a more nuanced discussion about this later. Spoiler alert, we're redoing our Patreon, and really what we're redoing it is to do some of the goals we originally set out to do. Part of it is we miss doing the longer form episodes, but we realize, that's a lot to take in on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And we don't really take the time to dig down into one book very often. So once a quarter or every other month, we're not sure. We're just going to get completely shit-faced and talk about a book. And the first 2 books on our docket just happen to be books I don't like. One of them is a very old book that is really, really popular in its genre that I read over a decade ago. Didn't like it then, couldn't articulate why. Now as more of a grown-up who's been to more therapy and is more socially aware and has more tools, I'm reading this book going, whoa, holy shit.
Not the good holy shit.
No. Unholy shit.
Yes.
Demon shit.
Ugh.
And so I have a very good friend up here in North Carolina, and she reads, I swear to God, she reads more than I do, which is like, she's so smart. She's so smart, and she's nice. And, if I ever decide to be a grown-up, I'll probably want to be like her. We were having a party for our kids because our kids are really good friends, and she leans over to me and she hisses, not like mean, but like in the, I don't want to say this loud, but I'm really pissed off way, have you read this book? This book that everyone's talking about? I just read it and it's terrible and I'm really mad. And I'm like, oh, that book. Yeah, that book. And I was like, do you want to get drunk and talk to Lee and I about it at some point? And she's like, yes, I want my own bottle of wine. So at some point we're going to do that. Yes. You have also read this book. If it's been too long and you just want a refresher course, I found someone else that reviewed it from a very clinical, straight, non-cussing, non-humorous point of view that I can just send you the YouTube videos and it would be a lot quicker for you.
Yeah.
And so I thought rereading this book would be triggering, but instead it just pisses me off and reinforces a lot of opinions I have of certain subsets of culture. Mm-hmm. And then the other book I'm not actually reading, I'm listening to it. And it's by an author I usually really enjoy. Like their last release I loved. And this one I'm just like, did I not notice your last one was bad because I read it to myself? And when I hear someone else saying it, I can't not hear you using the same goddamn word too close together over and over and over and over. Ah!
It's one of your biggest pet peeves, I think.
Jesus Christ, there are lots of words. Like, the history of the English language, specifically American English, is that it chases other languages down dark alleyways and beats them up and steals random pieces of grammar and words from their pockets. Yep. So, like, even if the best word that you need is, like, in German, and you throw a random German, Dutch, French, Chinese, whatever the fuck word in there, but particularly if you stick to the Latin-based languages and you throw a random word in there, no one in America is going to give 2 fucks. They're going to be like, oh, that's a word I don't know. Hey, let me look. Oh, yep, Kindle told me what that word was. Cool. Or it can be one of the literally thousands of words we use in our regular parlance that actually is Spanish or French or Dutch or German. But let's just use this same basic bitch, 2nd grade spelling word 3 times in one paragraph. That's fine. I don't care what you think about J.K. Rowling. Like, support trans kids, support the trans people in your life. That is not the point of this conversation. We have almost all fucking read Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. And when you read the 6th Harry Potter book, not only did you get to like the middle and you were like, where's the rest of it? Because there needs to be more here. You very much got the idea that she, and this particularly carried on through the 7th and made the 7th book possibly the worst in the series with the exception of 2 or 3 scenes. She was so fucking famous that either she or her editor didn't try as hard.
Yeah.
And they let her get away with sins that she never could have gotten her first book published with. And so this book that I'm reading now, this author, who is well known, never would have gotten away with this shit in their first or second series.
Mm-hmm.
They never would have sold a book if this is what their first one was. They would have been like, maybe self-publishing is for you. But because they're so famous, their fangirls and boys and theys will carry their shitty work.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not fucking here for it. I am not. If your biggest fan subreddit has the general consensus of the first 40 to 60% of the book is shit, but you just have to get through it and then it gets good, that is not a good book. That is a shitty book. That is a book you should have trunked for another year or two, thought about your sins, and come back to.
And you haven't even started drinking yet, so that Patreon episode's gonna be awesome.
Like, did you get stupid? Were you just high the entirety of the whole quarantine thing, and that's when you wrote? I mean, I do some of my better writing on substances.
It's true.
But not everybody does. Did you write sober and edit drunk? That could be a thing. That's not a great thing. Yeah, we've tried it. It doesn't work. We did it for science. It went poorly. I just, and then on top of that, like, my chronic illness flares up and I'm in pain. And I was just like, wow, just fuck all of this. And so I put both of them down and started a book that we'll talk about next episode, which I love. And it's funny. My husband's best friend is also incredibly well read. And I was venting to him and giving him just lines from this bad recently published book. And he's just like, the fuck? Mm-hmm. The fuck? The fuck? And eventually he's like, read this. You need to read something good. Read this.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that next episode because I'm thoroughly enjoying it. This is actually my vice for this week from the same podcast. It's called The Worst Year Ever. And it's by the same guy that does Behind the Bastards and a couple other people. That's where the woman was like, shrooms at Disneyland.
Yes. Okay.
One of the other things I did to kind of decompress my brain from bad writing is listen to good writers talk about bad writing. And so they're going through Ben Shapiro's first published short stories.
That sounds like you should definitely be drinking while you listen to it or read it.
So Robert Evans, who also does Behind the Bastards, and I've recently become a big fan of his just because he explains things. I like them the way I like them explained. I want them explained 3 layers deep so I know why this has happened and I understand that it's a cyclical pattern. Like, He just did a great 4-part series on Behind the Bastards of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. And that was a holy shit learning moment.
Yeah.
But Worst Year Ever, they started in 2020 and they're still going because it's still but it's Robert Evans, Katie Stoll, Cody Johnston, and occasionally someone else, and they're talking about if you want to start the Ben Shapiro thing, it starts back in December of last year, and it's called Cody Reads Ben Shapiro's Short Stories. So first of all, Ben Shapiro is a very short man, and in every one of these stories the main character has some sort of magical growth spurt, which is hilarious. But Robert Evans says this line, and I love it. He goes, he, meaning Ben Shapiro, uses words the same way drunk people use cars, and it's just so sad to see words go through that. And that's just such a fucking accurate description of bad writing. Like, yup.
Oh, man.
So anyway, that Behind the Bastards and Worst Year Ever are my vices for this week. I haven't really watched much TV. I have popped on my headphones and just laughed because they're really funny, but it's like dark, fucked up funny. So you can still laugh when you're having a hard time.
Yeah.
Because like that's the benefit of dark humor is like when you're in a dark place, it's still funny.
Mm-hmm. It's cathartic.
Cathartic as fuck. So yeah, it's so bad. Ben Shapiro's writing is so bad. Yeah. Anyway, what are your vices?
Not nearly as cool as yours. No, I'm still like on this, I feel like I've been this month, this is totally good information for all our listeners to know, but I feel like this month in particular, my PMS symptoms have lasted for like 17 years. I've just been craving chocolate, and so I found dark chocolate with orange infusion in it. And
nice. So it's fruit, technically.
It's technically fruit, yes. But they're like the way they do the orange, like it's actual like orange whatever, I don't know, dehydrated orange or orange peel. I don't really know what the fuck I'm eating.
Rind.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got texture to it and it tastes like chocolate orange and it's delicious. And it's better than like tasting the metal in my fork when I'm eating. So, yeah.
Hormones are stupid.
They are stupid. That is not something I even experienced when I was pregnant. Like, all of a sudden, just randomly, like, why do I not taste my meal? Why do I taste metal? Oh, okay. Well, this is fun. Anyway, so.
I know you're very into saving the planet, but spend the $1.29 and get yourself a set of plastic forks next time.
Yes. Yeah. No, we get them because we order Uber Eats and take out more often than I would like to admit. So we have a collection of plastic forks because we're like, we don't need these right now, but I'm not going to just throw them
away is worse than using them once and then throwing them away.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been my week. Bad books, good podcasts, good coffee, infinitely patient husband, and friends.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to wrap it up on. I think we covered all our bases.
I hope that everyone I want you to listen to it this week, but I kind of hope you're listening to it from like, I don't know, 2028, and you're like, wow, that must have been really hard. The world's so good now. That's what I hope for you. I hope you're listening to this from a place where you don't decide to just not watch the news anymore.
Yeah.
If you want to find us online, we're everywhere at Paper and Vices. You can email us, lee@paperandvices.com or victoria@paperandvices.com. You can find us on Patreon, where you can now you can get stickers and sparkly pins and extra episode clips, but hopefully in April we will do our first drunken WTF is this book moment, because I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, me too. In the meantime, don't be an asshole, smoke a joint, and take care of yourself.
This has been a production of Paper and Vices, LLC, copyright 2022. This episode is presented for entertainment purposes only, and any vice should only be pursued within the legal boundaries, common sense, and personal responsibility of each person. Please check your local laws and do not engage in any form of bitchassery. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and guests only, and do not in any way represent the views of Paper and Vices, LLC, nor any named persons, nor should they be considered personal, medical, or legal advice. Previous episodes and other commentary can be found at paperandvices.com and patreon.com/paperandvices.